Action. Alright. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back with another installment of Dangerous Minds. Still having trouble with Zoom. Hopefully we get that resolved soon, but you have it in this format right now. But we are here today with my friend and my guest for this episode, Ashanti Turner.
Hello, everybody.
She's a fashion designer, also a fellow graduate of NCCU, Eagles all day. But
Right.
where they can follow you at. So we can go ahead and before we get started.
So you can actually follow me on Instagram with Love Ashanti. So with Love and then my first name Ashanti, Ashanti.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that's actually all of my social medias. I would say Twitter, but I don't use my Twitter like that.
Oh yeah, and then tell me about the shirt too. You were telling me about it before we started recording.
Yes, so this shirt is from Semi Sex. Her name or the owner of this company is actually Simitri. She is also a fellow NCCU grad, but she actually has this company called Semi Sex, which promotes just healthy sexual choices and sexual education. And so her shirt's called Sexual Intellectual, and then they actually have a definition on the back of what a sexual intellectual is,
Mm-hmm.
which is someone who studies sexual relationships and helps to promote just positive and healthy choices when it does come to partnerships in love and sex.
Oh
So
dope.
yeah,
And look,
follow
did
her,
she
you
have
guys,
her
at
IG?
Semisex.
Oh, at 76.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, at
All right,
Semisex.
bet. And I'll definitely put your ad and then her company's ad in the bio too for this video. So they go ahead and get that promotion rolling. But speaking of that, because I felt like that you told me about the shirt. Like, is it okay to put on the show? I was like, actually, I think that fits perfect with today's topic because we want to talk about the controversy or so-called controversy of this WAP song. Yay! Yeah, we were having this discussion. It was just kind of weird how it just kind of baffled me how people got so wrapped up, and we have our own theories on why it became such a topic of debate. But first and foremost, before we get into that, how do you feel about the song? Like the song itself?
So the song itself, I gave like a D plus. The plus came from the video
Mm-hmm.
because I do think that it's a rather fun video. I think it's a rather creative video. But just overall, I think for it to have been Cardi B's song, Megan definitely outshined her.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me is just a
It's
little
always like a
odd
touching
because it
point.
is,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's just like, okay, well, this is your song. But also just because I've seen her go harder on songs as Cardi B. I've seen her
Mm-hmm.
go harder on songs. I wish that she had kind of put that same enthusiasm and aggression into this song. But to me, she just kind of sounded a bit sleepy, a bit
Yeah.
lazy.
Like she ain't put her all
Uh,
into it.
right. And that to me was just like, okay. So if to me had it not been for Megan in the video, the song wouldn't have gotten as much attention
Right.
as it has,
I mean,
even with it being vulgar.
as far as the attention part, I think a lot of that comes from the sexual
Yeah.
nature of the song and the video. It's very, uh, you know, I like when women talk this shit and like just get real, unfiltered with it.
Real raunchy.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, lady, talk your shit. Like dudes do it all the time. I like hearing that from a woman's perspective. But I think a lot of that is why people were upset. A lot of people saying that they were offended by the song. Uh, they were upset because they're gonna have little girls singing about wet ass pussy. Uh, they like people was upset, like, oh man, this is just so like hip hop just crossed the line. Like these women should be ashamed of themselves. Like even CeeLo came out and said what he had to say. Like he was basically, he not only called them out, he's calling out like all women rappers talking about them being like y'all need to do better. Like we need to do better or something like that. It's just like yeah, that's just ridiculous to me.
See, I hope in that whole we need to do better, he is
Mm-hmm.
including R&B singers, male rappers, because we can rattle off a list of songs that have been just as dirty or
Mm-hmm.
just as vulgar, and nobody said anything. I specifically remember Trina's "Look Back at It" coming out in high school
Mm-hmm.
while we were little girls, and we were singing. And so it's kind of weird to me that like that there is like all of this tension or controversy, because it's like, okay, well, you all were once younger and you were singing these songs, and it was no problem. Or, there have been songs where even as adults we listen to it and it's still just like, oh, we had no business, singing that song, ha, ha, and then you still go and you listen to it and you let your
Mm-hmm.
kids listen to it.
Shoot, I mean, like the original song that Cardi B like sampled for this track. Like it's called "There's Some Hoes in This House" from Frank Scott, and like that's
Right.
that's a song that I remember. People was playing that when I was in high school. And like I remember people playing that when I was in middle school, and
Right.
it wasn't like this big uproar. Like I thought this was a dope question that Hot 97 posed on their radio show. They were having discussions like this about like the controversy of the song, and they asked the question like, what is the first song, the first I think it was the first hip hop song that you remember that was just like real raunchy, real provocative and stuff. Like I remember the first song that really caught my attention was Uchi Wally with Nas, and I just remember that. So this is a funny story about that one, right? So I'm in the car and my mom's playing it like we're on our way back from my great grandmother's house, and I
Oh
just
wow.
remember, yeah, yeah, it was on the radio, like, she just playing it from the radio, and like, oh, okay, and I remember it was the first time I had heard it, and I remember hearing like the girl on the "You really, really want to try to gut me," like, and I yeah, like the beat got like immediately pops in your head after you hear that. It's like, but I just remember my first thing came to my mind was a horror movie. So I'm thinking of it like, yeah, because I'm like 9, 10 years old. So
Hmm.
I don't know what they talk about. So when she said you tried to gut me, I'm thinking like Scream, when people getting
Oh,
stabbed and
like somebody
stuff in their
stabbed you in the
stomach.
gut.
Yeah, like so I asked my mom like, yo, why did he sound so excited about getting knifed up? and then she's and then that's when she turned it off, and she had to we had the
Oh,
conversation when I got home. That's
about what that
when I
actually
learned.
meant.
Yeah, that's when I really learned because it was. We had been listening to songs like that, but we didn't really know what they were talking about. Like we
Right.
heard Lil Kim and Biggie and all these other people in the car, and they be saying certain stuff, and we don't know what they're talking about. That was the first time I'd actually
Right.
asked, like, what are they talking about? That's when we had to have a conversation. It's just so many songs like that. Like, what's the first song that come to your mind with that? What's the first song that you remember being like provocative that really like stuck out to you?
So the reason why I laughed is because there's actually two that popped in my head. One
Mm-hmm.
is actually not a rap song. It's an R&B song. It's Peaches and Cream. But but if we're talking about the first rap song, it's "My Neck, My Back" by Kaya,
Mm-hmm.
and that song came out like a little bit later, and that's because with my parents, they like when we were younger, like they censored what it is that we could and could not listen to, or like we
Mm-hmm.
could and could not watch, simply because of stuff like this. It's just like, we don't want for you to kind of have that type of messaging before you're actually ready to understand what it means.
Right.
So we actually they actually censored a lot of stuff that me and my sister could listen to. So I do remember specifically those two songs because I was just like, okay. And like I think I just remember just like questioning, like, girl, like, what, this sound like it hurt. It sounded like it hurt. And then, they play the radio version. So when I got older and I heard the actual version, I was just like, oh, no wonder my parents didn't want me to listen to stuff like this. but it's just like those two I remember because
Yeah.
with Kaya, I'm just like she was very graphic about it, and I just remember feeling like, oh, this isn't. I just remember not necessarily being offended by it or like grossed out or anything like that. I was just like, oh, this is just the song,
Mm-hmm.
and I went on about my business. So to to see like all of this, I'm just like, okay, well, there were worse songs.
Right. I mean, there's so many you could like count off. Like, I think one a lot of people brought up like "Doing It" by LL Cool J,
Mm.
uh, "Lollipop" by Lil Wayne. Like, pretty much a lot, like half of Lil Wayne's
Lotus Flower
catalog.
Bomb
Lotus
by
Flower Bomb.
Wale.
Yeah, that was a little bit more artsy about it though. It wasn't as direct to the point. Like I think that's why a lot of people had a problem with it, was that it wasn't as so direct with like this song is so direct with this message and like exactly what's going on. But even then, like other songs, like I said with those two, "Freaky Tales" by Too Short.
Ooh,
Um,
child.
yeah, I know. Uh, man, it's a lot. There's a lot that you could point at, like
No, but seriously.
male and female MCs, like this on both sides, and it wasn't. I mean, Little Kim. That's pretty much like the entire hardcore album is like that.
Okay, because was Big Mama on that? Was Big Mama on that album?
I don't know. Let me look that up. I think so though. If not, it was
I
on
was
the
say
next
because
one.
if it was, then I know that because I listened to that song the other day,
Yeah,
and I was
Big
like,
Mama
oh,
thing.
girl,
Yeah, that's all
yeah,
hardcore.
that's what it was. And I guess like the confusion for me is just like, okay, but you all are upset about them putting it in a song,
Hmm.
but you do it in real life.
Right.
So
But the
so
thing is, like, people like to sanitize it. Like you said, to your parents, they didn't want you to hear certain things or be exposed to certain things too early. And I guess it's the well, this is an adult thing. I can listen to it as an adult. I can listen to the music
mhm.
as an adult, but I don't want my children getting their hands on it.
Well, that's when you turn it off.
Right.
They put parental advisory stickers on the albums for a reason. It's because it's adult content. Your children aren't supposed to be listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that it's weird that we have gotten to a point in just society, mankind, or whatever, that you all are expecting people who you don't know to live up to the expectations that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know these people. You don't know these people, but your children know you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of feel like if that is the hill that we are choosing to die on, if that is the avenue or the entry point to feminist thought, discourse, or any sort of intellectual conversation surrounding sex, then maybe we should start having substantial conversations about consent and
Mm-hmm.
rape culture and how, rap kind of perpetuates that. Sex workers and sex work being actual work and paying the people who work in it and giving them adequate benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of like there's a plethora of things that, we could be talking about, but instead you all choose to focus on this one particular point or this one particular thing when it's just like this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
And and I
Because
don't know what it is or why it is that you're expecting for these people to have that conversation when their entire platforms have never been about that.
mm-hmm. Like nobody's. It's not like this was played on Nick Jr. or this is
Right.
played on. This is. It kind of reminded me of like people being outraged. I guess white suburban moms just discovered that after a certain time, Cartoon Network becomes Adult Swim, and they found their kids watching Adult Swim and got upset.
Well, it's called Adult Swim.
Yeah. So but I think a lot of it, and it's something that my dad used to tell me all the time, is that people don't want to raise their kids; they want television and entertainment to raise their kids. Like, you know, how many times have you seen like a parent that gets upset about their kids crying and going crazy? They just turn on the television, they put on Barney or Blue's Clues or whatever's going on, and to try to get it done instead of actually like dealing with their kids. They rather have
Yeah,
them
taking
watching
and investing
TV.
time in their kids.
Yeah, like they don't want to invest their time in their kids. They don't want to get to know their kids, take interest in their kids. It's just all about like just sitting them in front of the TV so they're not bothering you. So they want to be able to regulate what's on TV so they don't, or you know, on the radio or whatever that they're getting exposed, getting this entertainment from. They want to be able to control that, so they don't have to worry about it when they just sit their kids in front of the television or in front of the computer and just tell them to have at it.
But see, when that happens, you can't necessarily get mad at the messaging that your kids are,
Mm-hmm.
consuming. With us being consumers of the art, the only thing that we can control is how it is that we engage with the content.
Right.
I don't think it's up to us as consumers to necessarily dictate what it is that the artist says in their art.
Mm-hmm.
Their art is their art. What it is that they have to feel about it, what it is that they have to say is in their, their being to say. The only thing that you can control is how you engage. So if you want for your kids to listen to that, turn it off.
Right.
If you don't like it, choose something else to listen to, or create what it is that you actually would want for somebody to consume, or create things that have the message that you want for people to consume. I don't think it's necessarily fair that this conversation only comes about when it's female rappers or
Right. Because that's the
kind
real
of like a
core of
particular
it.
type.
That's the real core of the outrage to me. And a lot of people have pointed it out, but I think it is the fact that there is women talking about it. Because we've rattled off a bunch of songs with the exception of like Trina and Kim, and I bet they probably, if we look back, they probably got a lot of flack for what they were saying and when they were coming out at the time. And it just seems to always kind of trickle down to women. And it's specifically like it's because these particular women are that out there, that brazen with it, and because they have this platform that they have right now, like people all of a sudden expecting them to be better, I guess.
Right. But it's just like if you're going to demand that sort of standard from them, then
Mm-hmm.
again, you need to demand that from all of these R&B singers who choose to say things in a more creative, more ladylike way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You need to demand it from these rappers, these male rappers rather, who to me it seems like they're more so engaging with women in a way that objectifies them. Like you're just here for me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any sort of sexual identity that's all your own, separate from attracting a partner or being romantically involved with anybody. And that's like another kind of layer to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've always been taught about pleasure from kind of a male perspective.
Right.
We all remember being in sex ed classes. we were talking about everything except for female pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And now when we're in a state where we don't care if you get yours or not, like we're here for us, y'all, we're here for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Now we taking us back. And I think because we have kind of always seen the pleasure through that one perspective, now it's like, ooh, this is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just another way to silence women. And again, I don't think that that's fair.
Right.
I truly don't think that that's fair. Not as a woman, not as a person. You're not going to silence me saying what it is that I want. Not when everybody else has the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's basically what it boils down. I mean, I've even felt it to a certain degree. For personally, I have no issue with the song or like women like Meg or Cardi or whoever like rapping like that. But I mean, we talked about it before we started recording. Like, I think there's a part of me that just can't connect with it because of that. Like, I guess it's weird, like being on the opposite end. Like, you going from being the person in power to being the trick when I'm listening to. I listen, like I can't, like it's not, it's kind of boils down to it's just not for me, and I'm not gonna get mad at it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be on Twitter like bashing it or anything like that just because I don't connect with it. Like I may not think on a technical level one person can't rap or not, but that's more of a technical ability thing. And me being a rapper, I
Right.
just can't help that regardless of who's rapping. But like as far as like the content, I'm not gonna judge that. I'm just not. I know I can't get into it. I'm not going to engage with it at the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see a problem with like women having representation in hip hop and being able to take that kind of power stance that guys have had the pleasure of doing since the inception of hip hop. So,
Right. And as you shouldn't. It's just like, if you don't connect with it, okay, great.
mm-hmm.
I know that there have been, just over the past couple of days, I've seen a number of comments, not just not just like on this, but in general when it comes to women kind of taking their sexual power back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like there have been a number of men who have tried to control that. And to me, it's just like, if something is not for you, if someone is not for you,
Mm-hmm.
just let it go. Like who are you to like who are you?
Right.
Pretty much. Like who are you for me to care that you don't like what it is that I'm doing? Who are you to make me care whether it is that you think that because that was one thing about CeeLo's comments that really bothered me,
Mm-hmm.
was, he's saying that these women don't have morals. Okay, but why is it, do you know them personally? Do you
Right.
know them personally? Because if you don't, how is it that you are to say that they don't have morals, they don't have standards? Someone can be outspoken about what it is that they like and what it is that's pleasurable to them and
Mm-hmm.
still have standards and morals.
I mean, shoot, he from the Goody Mob. Like Goody Mob was talking about. I mean, they were conscious to an extent, but they had a lot of they had drug talk, they had guns talk in their music. Like if that's not morally
Exactly.
corrupt. I mean, regardless if you felt like you're doing it for your family, you still
You still
poison
did
in
it.
the community. You still like violence on your brothers and sisters that either you did or you just rapping about and saying that you did. It's not good either way. It's not like these are
Right.
still messages. Like Megan and Cardi B could be virgins for all he know, because he don't know them.
Exactly. And the crazy part is, you know, while he's sitting here like kind of sitting on this high horse and kind of speaking to your point of, regardless of whether you were doing it for your family or whatever, you still poison the community. Not only that, you still hurt somebody else's family
Mm-hmm.
that could possibly look just like yours. And to me, it's kind of like, who exactly are they hurting?
Yeah, like
Like,
if you listen to what
who?
they
Like, who?
talking about,
Literally,
it's
seriously.
yeah, like you talk about they. It's all like fun and pleasure that they talking about when they talking about their sexuality and their sexual activity. Like that's all. I don't see anybody being hurt by that. But you have violence in your music, like CeeLo. You have violence in your
Right.
music. Selling drugs, peddling drugs to people in your music. That's hurting generations of people. That has hurt generations of our own people and people around this world, like this around this planet.
And again, that's always like the weird part for me, is that until you can begin to address the issues that are happening in real life,
Mm-hmm.
because people, it's like Cardi was a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we all know this. Megan grew up in Houston, Texas, and one of the largest hubs for strip clubs. One is just the South in
Mm-hmm.
general, but two places is Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So they grew up in that culture. So until you can begin to address these things in real life and do something about that, I don't think that you can necessarily get upset when somebody puts it in their song for entertainment value. Well, yeah, entertainment value, because it is music is to entertain. While it is to tell a story, it's also to entertain. Um, so yeah, I just kind of feel like until we begin to address those things and the things that are actually plaguing us, you can't necessarily get upset for people putting in their song. Like, I personally don't agree with them with the concept of the video being that they were in a brothel.
Mm-hmm.
but the porn industry is $1 billion industry.
Right.
like so are strip clubs, so is prostitution. And yet you all aren't like those women are still seen as like the bottom of the bottom. If they were to go missing or if they were to die, no one's uplifting their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's telling those stories. So like let's not act like we are just so holier than thou, like, because we're not.
Right.
And until those things begin to address, until we begin to really care about those stories and those women and people who are actually in their life, and just in general,
Mm-hmm.
until we begin to care about people enough to address the real issues that are plaguing us, you can't get mad at them that they're talking about in a song,
I
because
mean, shoot,
at
of
some
all the
point they've also
stuff,
lived that life.
of all the things that we've gone through in 2020, like I don't think this is the thing to be as outraged about. You know, like this year
Right.
alone, there's a lot more issues, and I mean beyond CeeLo and like other like entertainers that have had something to say. Like it's like I'm just thinking from a male like hip hop fan. Like you can't sit there and say I have a problem with what these women are saying, and then you have a playlist full of guys
A
that
future.
a Future or of Wayne or Eleni Chopper. I'm trying to think if a lot of these dudes escape me. I mean, even rappers I like Isaiah Rashad. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you got either people like J. Cole and Kendrick. They've had a bar or two. They got a song or two in their catalog. They could be looked down on the same way
Right.
that maybe not as explicit, but I mean the message is regardless if it's in a metaphor or if it's as explicit as this song
Right. If it's
is.
in your face.
Yeah, like it's still the same messaging at the end of the day. So you really can't like try to can't police these women and what they're talking about if you're not gonna have the same energy with your favorite male rappers that's gonna be saying the same shit.
And to be honest with you, I think it's just the fact that people think that women are just supposed to aspire to be ladylike or whatever. These women didn't sign up to be ladylike. You could
Mm-hmm.
tell by the way that they came out. They signed up to be rappers. That's
I mean,
exactly what they
that's
signed up to
been
be.
part of the branding from the beginning with Megan and Cardi. Like that's you knew who they were, you knew what they were about to rap about from
Exactly.
the jump. So this shouldn't come to
And to
no
me,
surprise to anybody.
right. And I remember watching I don't know if it's called the Queen's Court anymore, but I know that Kaya was talking about it. And
Mm-hmm.
she was just like, when it comes to just like getting your record on the radio and everything like that, she was saying they won't play a Respect Me, which is one of her songs. She was like, they won't play a Respect Me,
Mm-hmm.
but they will play over and over My Neck and My Back.
Mm-hmm.
And like just with WAP, it I think went gold within the first week
Yeah,
or
it's
something like
already
that.
gonna go.
And to me, it's just like, so if there wasn't a demand for this,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be here. And Cardi has said that before. Like I mentioned, Kaya has said that.
Yeah.
A number of artists have said that. It's just like, if you all weren't like interested in this sort of content, if you all didn't want this type of music, we wouldn't even be making it. Because I know when Cardi first came out, she was like going hard. Like, I'm trying to think like somebody who, like a guy that I could probably think about, but it wasn't like as vulgar as it was now. Even with Bodak Yellow, like
Yeah.
I don't think Bodak Yellow was all that bad.
No.
And it's just like, you all didn't really start paying attention to her until she started making like really raunchy songs or talking about her vagina, as she says. And to me, it's just like, okay, so it's obvious that people are listening to it and people like it. If you
Mm-hmm.
are that mad about it, again, we do play some sort of part in actually getting what it is that we want. While we can't dictate what it is that they say,
Mm-hmm.
again, we can make it to where that this can't be like your only topic to talk about. And again, that goes for both male and female.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't something that people were interested in, they most likely would not make a song like that. So it's just like, if that's not what you want, or if that's not what you want for all of their content to be talking about, then maybe you should make a change and again find other people who kind of fit more of what it is that you would like to listen to. Or if it is this particular person that you would like to listen to, then maybe just limiting the amount of times you listen to it, introduce people to other parts of their songs. That way it begins to be a conversation of just, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't just one thing that they talk about. They talk about like a plethora of other things too. And then again,
Yeah.
you will probably begin to see the change that you want to see in music.
And I think that was another thing too that you Cardi did bring up that point about Rap City. Like there's other
Mm-hmm.
MCs because there was also a comment that a lot of people were trying to echo about how all women rappers are just talk about sex. They just talk about their bodies and stuff. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's mad MCs. Just like Tierra Whack, Rico Nasty. I know you're a big
I
fan of
love Rico
Rico.
Nasty. I love
Uh,
Rico Nasty.
like I
Key
mean,
Lime
shoot,
OG is my song.
like Missy from back in the day. Missy was very successful, but I'm just saying there's a diverse
Right.
cast of women, past and present, that have rapped about so many different things and so many other things that don't get the same support. And it's like instead of being so upset about what these women are doing, why don't you take that same energy and put support and momentum and money behind
Right.
women that are talking about the things that you expect all of them to talk about?
Or at least want for them to talk about. Because
Right.
again, I feel like we shouldn't be placing expectations on people that we don't know.
Because there is somebody, there's like, especially like with streaming services and the internet and things like that, like music is so much more easily accessible. So
Right.
you can't sit there and be upset that you or even say that, oh, all these women do is just talk about their bodies. There's so many MCs that rap about everything. Like you name it, there's an MC out there, male or female, that is gonna spit about what you want to hear. So instead of
Right.
complaining about the people, because I stopped doing that. I used to be one of those purist hip hop fans that I didn't want to hear the trap stuff. I didn't want to hear the auto tune stuff. I didn't want to hear none of that. I wanted to hear nothing but bars and concept albums and stuff. And then I started to realize instead of being so up in arms about, oh, I think this person's whack, or I don't know why they giving so much attention to this person. Like just take the time out and like look for the people that you want to listen to. And life would just be so much easier. No matter what you want to listen to, no matter what you want your rappers to talk about, there's somebody out there for you. And I would just focus your energy on finding those people and supporting them.
Well, see, that's always the thing because, you can suggest to people like, hey, you guys can control, like, you do have some sort of control over what it is that you're listening to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell them that all day, and they will still find a way to be upset
Yeah.
with with some of the things that just the music that's out there. Again, it's like you all don't want for them to be rapping about their bodies, but like let's say if Beyonce's Black is King was like in a rap version,
Mm-hmm.
y'all would still be upset because Beyonce caught so much flack for that.
Yeah.
And people were saying that she was trying to, capitalize off of like the African aesthetic and everything like that. Okay, well, Drake for every single album has been changing up his accent.
Yeah, he just be borrowing accents like
Right. And it's
whenever
just
he just
like
started to
you
visit a new
all
region and like it.
exactly. It's just like so we can't tell if you're Canadian, we don't know if you're Caribbean, West Indian, like we don't know what it is that you are, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you all will still continue to buy his music. Like Drake is actually one of the, if not like the top artists right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely in
it's
hip
just
hop, he's
like,
definitely number one right now.
right. So it's just like, what exactly will make you happy? You can't talk about your body. You can't uplift blackness because then you'd be like, oh, they're just too conscious. They just too
Either they're
black.
too talk
Or
conscious or they're too African
yeah.
or trying to be African. It's all this stuff.
And so it's just like, so what exactly will make you happy? Just turn the radio off at this point. Turn the radio off and make your own music.
Dang.
That's just how I feel.
Kind of sucks. I feel like in that regard, like this conversation, or this episode was pointless because it's like we're talking to the people. They're just gonna be mad anyway. But we're gonna still put it out, like, you know, that's
Right.
still a given.
I mean,
But
because
we just talking
I
to the
just feel
people that
like,
is gonna be mad and have something to be mad about anyway.
and that's cool. You know, that's cool. I just kind of think that before people uh complain, or just before you're going to the like this blind outrage, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you should just kind of take the time to assess like why it is that this particular one made you angry. And I do think that it's because it's loud, outspoken black women talking about it, because
Right.
Cardi claims she's black when she wants to, but it's like, I think that it's because it was loud, outspoken black women talking about it,
Oh
and they want for y'all
shit.
to shut up, or they
Here we
want for us
go
to shut up.
again.
And we
Even the other stations are tuning in too.
right.
Uh,
And I just kind of feel like if you can't take
You are
that,
now listening to
then,
the Loud Box Podcast,
again,
a place
don't
where
listen.
we unwrap and
I mean, it's
unpack
really just kind of the end of
everything
the day,
you
'cause
need
they're-
to know
regardless,
about
like you said, the
cannabis
song
culture.
we go
Whether you're
already,
brand new to
it's
this
already a
amazing
success.
gang, looking
So
for
at this
ways to
point,
enhance your experiences
people just
as
gonna be
an
mad,
OG,
but at the end of
or
the
just
day,
got
they still gonna
questions
be out
that
here
need
doing their thing.
answers, I got you.
Right. At this point, it's just
After
like,
more
stay
than
mad.
13
Stay
years in this game, I'm
All right,
ready
so
to
any
press
final
play.
thoughts?
It's time to put y'all on. It's time to
topic, like
enhance
any last
and
words you
elevate
wanna
your
give
cannabis
to the people?
journey. I'm your personal ganja guide,
If this
AP.
is the high
Now
horse
sit
that
back,
you all are choosing to
relax,
be on,
and let's go ahead
let's try
and
to have more
unpack
substantial
this week's
conversations
episode.
surrounding actual issues pertaining to this, instead of just focusing on the very minuscule issue of them being vulgar in the song.
Right. And I just want to say, if you don't like what you're hearing from them, there are plenty of women. There are plenty of MCs in general that can give you your fix on whatever you want. So why don't you put your energy in that instead of trying to tear down these women for just talking their shit? I ain't got no problem with it. So I just don't see why anybody else does. But yo, that's our time. Thank you again, Ashanti, for joining me today for this episode. Make sure y'all follow her with love, Ashanti. Okay, I just want to make sure I said it right. With Love Ashanti on IG. Also, Sexual Intelligence, Semisexual.
Yes, Miss Semi-Sex.
Yeah,
That's
like
what you see it.
yeah, and I'll definitely put the ad information and everything on the in the bio for this video. But until next time, make sure y'all tune in for the next episode. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. But until then, much love.